No idea, bro. One is already watching.
ಬನ್ನಿ ನೀವು ಬನ್ನಿ. ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಲಾ?
Landscape to short rider family.
ಅದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಫ್ರಂಟಿಯರ್ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲ
time of launch, if you encounter any difficulty, you should be able to recover the afternoon. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ launch ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಆ ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಸೊ ರಿಕವರಿಂಗ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್
Register record.
ಆ ಟ್ರಯಲ್ಸ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಕಳ್ವರ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಕಳ್ವರ್ದೇನೆ ನ್ಯೂ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಹೌದು ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಪುಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಭಾಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು.
ಇಲ್ಲ UVC ಪಕ್ಕ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ
ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್
ಹೌದು ಹೌದು ಹೌದು
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಬುಕ್ಸು
ಈ ಮೇನ್ ರೋಡ್ ಬಂದು ಬರಬೇಕು.
ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಯಾರೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕು ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್
ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಇದು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್. ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದೇ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಬನ್ನಿ 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 ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಬರ್ಗಾನಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
committees to translate books, write books. Independent entities also if they start doing it, it becomes they need support. That of course definitely. Not only support, you also need people with some kind of empathy for these things.
ನಾವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 2 ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್
ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮೈಸೂರು ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಭಾಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಸಾರದವರು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಇವರ ಪಾರ್ಟನ್ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಂತೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು
ಅವರು
30-40 years
JR ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣರಾವು, GT ನಾರಾಯಣರಾವ್ ಅದಲ್ಲ 14 ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಅದು ಚಿನ್ನದ ಸಂಚಿಕೆ ಅದೆರಡು ಆಯಿತು. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಶ್ವ
Give it to someone. Hey, I'm leaving. You're leaving, yeah. This network, Skanda.
Thank you, Skanda, for your melodious music. Coming to the objective of the association, the main objective of Karnataka Physics Association is to encourage and improve the teaching, learning, and application of physics and its allied discipline at all levels. Now, I request Dr. B.A. Kagli sir to convey the welcome speech.
First activity, namely a very interesting talk on space, distinguished space scientist and former chairman of Kiran Kumar, with the programming. So as you know, as probably you don't know, sometime during December last year, several senior faculty members, physics faculty members met in Central College and deliberated on forming an association, an independent association for the development, progress, teaching, and various activities of physics in the entire state of Karnataka. So it was felt that the existing pan-India organization, there are a few pan-India organizations like IPA, Indian Physics Association, headquarters in Bombay, Mumbai, and IAPT, Physics Teachers Association. They are there, but they are not able to reach every nook and corner of Karnataka, and most of the students all over Karnataka and so on. It was felt that there is a need for a regional association to fill this gap. And also in particular that the new education policy is encouraging activities in Kannada, the local languages. So that this pan-India organization cannot do. So with that thought in mind, the senior members who became the founder members of the association met several times in Central College, Bangalore, and framed suitable bylaws, rules, regulations for such a new organization over the course of several months, and got it legally registered as under the Karnataka Cooperative Societies Act 1960 in March 2022. So since then, we can say KPA has taken birth. And the founder member, senior members who deliberated or met during that time have now become the founder members and also members of the ad hoc executive council. So since March 2022, all the members, the KPA has been engaged in enhancing the membership and also thinking about various activities that can be done in schools and colleges and so on. But so as a first step, we are going to have the inauguration of the formal inauguration of the association today, and what can be called the very first activity of the association, namely lecture by distinguished scientists today. So on behalf of KPA, I wish to thank Dr. Kiran Kumar, who kindly agreed to inaugurate the association and also deliver the very first talk under KPA today in spite of his very busy engagement. I wish to thank Dr. Kiran Kumar on behalf of KPA as well as all the members, all the people engaged, attending here. On behalf of all of you, I would like to welcome him to this function. And as a token of our welcome, I request the President of KPA, Dr. Venkatesh, to present a bouquet to him. So when KPA approached Dr. Srinivas Balli, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Nupatanga University, for a venue for holding our first activity, he readily agreed to that, conducting this activity. I wish to welcome him on behalf of all of you and request Dr. P. Nagaraj to hand over a bouquet to him and welcome him on your behalf. So I also wish to welcome Dr. Kavita, Professor of Botany and the Registrar Administration of Nupatanga University, for gracing this occasion and providing all kinds of support in conducting this program. I request Dr. Sudhindra to present a bouquet to her and welcome her to the function. I wish to thank and welcome Dr. Ramkrishna Reddy, Professor of Chemistry and presently Registrar Evaluation from Nupatanga University, for gracing the occasion and providing all kinds of support. He has been with KPA and even with other organizations which have been trying to arrange programs here. He has been very, very cooperative, very encouraging to us in conducting activities in this particular institution. So I welcome him on behalf of KPA and all of you. I request Dr. Jogat to present a bouquet to him. So I also wish to thank Dr. Venkatesh, the present president of KPA, for taking all the trouble in establishing the association and making all the arrangements. It is no exaggeration if I tell you that he has done the most work in setting up the association. He did not sit there in the top as the president, but they have done all the maximum work to ensure that this association takes birth. So I request Dr. Srikanta to welcome him with a bouquet. Finally, of course, I wish to thank all the members of KPA who are present here and those who are online also. It is to be noted that this program is now being broadcast online, so people who are out participate in this program. Thanks to here for taking words. I wishing you
All the dignitaries to light the lamp, and I request everyone to stand.
No cake please. It's fine. 1 minute. What?
I would like to call Dr. H.S. Sudhindra Sir, Physics Department, to give the introduction of the speaker, A.S. Kiran Kumar, Padma Shri Award, Vikram Sarabhai Professor and former Chairman, ISRO.
Just a small change in the program. So before the introduction of the speaker, there is the unveiling of the bylaws by the dignitaries.
Photographer. Photographer is over there.
ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇದನ್ನು ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ
Good morning to all. It's a great privilege for me to introduce today's distinguished guest, Sri A.S. Kiran Kumar. A.S. Kiran Kumar is a Vikram Sarabhai Professor at ISRO, Bangalore, and member of Space Commission, Government of India. He is also member Governing Council, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. During 2015-18, he has served as Secretary, Department of Space and Chairman, Indian Space Research Organization. That's ISRO. Sri Kiran Kumar, born on October 22, 1952 in Hassan, Karnataka, holds MSc degree in physics, specialized in electronics from Bangalore University, and MTech degree in physical engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Has steered the implementation of the applications-oriented Indian space program, which has facilitated rapid development of the country in many important spheres of Earth observation, communication, navigation, meteorology, and space science, as well as the development of indigenous launch vehicles and related technologies for providing assured access to space. He has led design and development of more than 50 electro-optical imaging sensors flown on various space-borne platforms, starting from Bhaskara in 1979. A big round of applause from all our audience. Another notable achievement in his role in success of Chandrayaan-1 mission and Mars orbiter mission has been very, very significant. Sri Kiran Kumar has also been the chair of the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites in 2012. He has made valuable contributions to coordination group of meteorological satellites, expert team on satellite systems, World Meteorological Organization, and Indo-US Joint Working Group on Civil Space Cooperation. Sir is the President, Aeronautical Society of India, and Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Sciences India, Indian Society of Remote Sensing. List is very big. Institute of Electronics and Communications Engineers, Indian Society of Systems for Science and Engineering, Indian Meteorological Society, Indian Society of Geomatics, Gujarat Science Academy, Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences, and elected member of International Academy of Astronautics. Has been conferred with honoris causa and DSc by 18 Indian academic institutions. Another round of applause. Has co-authored 85 publications in various national and international scientific journals, conferences, symposiums. Another recognition of his contributions, he was conferred with Padma Shri Award by President of India in 2018. If I read out that, you will see that every year he has conferred with one or the other award. Let's say continuously has been getting the awards. Other notable honors conferred on him include Rajyotsava Award for 2015, Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Senior Scientist Award for 2013 by Government of Karnataka, Lifetime Achievement Award from Karnataka Science and Technology Academy in 2016, IASC Distinguished Alumnus Award for 2015, Gujarat Ratna Life for Innovation Award conferred by Gujarat Innovation Society in 2014, Lifetime Achievement Award by Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences in 2016, Bharat Ratna Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Centenary Award by University of Mysore in 2016, GM Modi Science Award in 2016, HK Tiroda Vignan Ratna Achievement Award in 2018 has been conferred with the prestigious 2018 International Karman Vignan Wings Award instituted by Aerospace Historical Society together with graduate aerospace laboratories at the California Institute of Technology. A big round of applause for all these achievements and the services to humanity. The highest civilian award by the government of France conferred in 2019 with the name Chevalier de Orlando National de la Legion Hanon. This is the name of the award conferred by the France. So now we have the interaction and the speech by the speaker. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
Good morning. The Karnataka Physics Association, in its bylaws, has a provision to recognize distinguished members and honorary members. And I take this opportunity to request Shri Kiran Kumar to be one of the honorary members of the association. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. So on the occasion of Karnataka Physics Association providing an opportunity to interact with you and also bestowing the honorary membership of this association, I would thank Karnataka Physics Association again for this opportunity and their kindness. Today, as was already pointed out by Karnataka Physics Association, the need for forming associations and then contributing to the process of bringing in education to the next generation is a challenge which is becoming more and more severe every day. Primarily because, unlike yesteryears, when we probably got into institutions, started learning, the information explosion which is happening and the pace at which new findings are taking place, the pace at which science and technology is bringing in newer and newer things, is making life difficult not only for students but more so for the teachers and providers of education. It is just like the other day I was reading one of the documents where it says, what is the challenge of this education? Today, the challenge of this education is trying to train students to deal with problems which we are not aware of today. What is the nature of the problem? See, in the yesteryears, when things were relatively stable and slow pace of development, if you were to get into an institution and learn whether it's physics, chemistry or mathematics or any discipline, there were a set of information and the teachers were able to maybe communicate one way, and then the students used to listen and go out. But today, the way technology has developed, access to data and information is so much that probably the student has more access and more skill to look at what is available than the teachers. So this is simply because every one of us, as we grow, we have some inhibition in learning new things. Change is always an anathema for human being. There are not many who will accept change quickly and adapt to the change. Probably you would also have heard of early adopters, late adopters, laggards, etc. So one of the difficulties as you grow up is your ability to learn new things, to adapt your situation and make a difference. Today, this problem is becoming quite severe, and on top of it, we also went through a phase where in 1947, when we got our independence, we had already missed certain key activities of whether it was the Industrial Revolution or also many of the entire country was under, in some way, a domination by other colonial rulers whose thinking process was how to develop people here who will act as in-betweens for us, the rulers, and the society here. So they brought in an education system which even today we are seeing how successful they were in trying to alienate ourselves from our own culture, our own traditional knowledge system, which by no means was behind others in the early millennia. If you look at the way the information and the technology is developing, today probably many of you are looking at the topic of my today's talk happens to be the space, the fourth frontier, where you are seeing already that human beings who are also nothing but space travelers. We are sitting on Earth, and Earth is a body which is going around Sun almost 20 to 30 kilometers per second speed, and our solar system itself is traveling in space. It's a part of a galaxy, and this galaxy is again moving at many kilometers per second speed, and then this entire universe, if you imagine, today we are learning with the growth, information explosion from space-based observations, that we are a tiny part, tiny speck in this universe. But in spite of that, we have the ability to look at what is happening around us, try to make sense of it and understand. So in this process, while we are actually part of this universe, what human being has done is not only he has tried to develop his own skills by observing nature and trying to understand the means and methods by which the nature is functioning, and developing newer and newer tools, and using these tools not only provide better living conditions for himself and his people in the society. So in this process, today what human beings have done is they have made tremendous progress in, if you take locomotion, earlier we were only walking around to reach from place to place. Very soon you had domestication of animals, and then today we have rockets which can take us beyond Earth, which can take us to Moon, Mars, and very soon you will see already there are people, private enterprise, which is trying to make human beings a multiplanetary species. And in this process, they are building vehicles which are cost effective, which can take hundreds of people at a time from Earth to Moon, Mars, and even beyond. So this is one direction in which your ability to move from place to place and the speed at which you are traveling has been increased tremendously from few kilometers per hour to now thousands of kilometers per hour and to maybe hundreds of kilometers per second. But even all this is inadequate. You don't see national boundaries. From space, you can look at any portion of the globe. So as a result of that, you can see what is happening across the globe. And today, even India, for example, we have the ability to look at whatever is happening beyond the borders, or the various observation capabilities telling us what is the crop growth that is going to happen ahead of harvest, telling the government how much of actual, whether it is wheat, rice, groundnut, or jute, sugarcane, many of these things, or even many of the horticultural crops, telling about all these crop yield, crop assessment, all this information generated from space. So today, in terms of the space technology, India is among the few countries in the world which had end-to-end capability. But then, by the time the Dr. Sarabhai, whose name you would have heard, he started the program of space in India way back in the 60s. During the last 4 to 5 decades, Indian government supported this activity, and we have an indigenous capability of building launch vehicles, satellites, instruments, and not only that, applications, and using this providing solutions to many of the problems we are facing. But then, as we were doing all this, we were all the time also limited by the economic resources or the monetary funds that are available. You know that unless you have enough funds for doing research, your ability to compete with the contemporary systems is limited, and the globally also things are moving very fast. So unlike yesteryears, space is no longer the predominant control of only the governments. Today, private enterprise, like in all other domains, like in land, ocean, air, it is a private enterprise which is bringing in services and then earning and building ability. Today, you are already seeing many international entities which are actually bringing up with space programs with their own funding, not the government funding. Whether you talk of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or many others who are bringing in space, which is the fourth frontier. When we say it is the conquering land, ocean, water, and then airspace has been conquered already by human beings. So the fourth frontier, what all is there for him to conquer? One is you can look at space tourism, space adventure, space exploitation, and then space habitation. All of this are the activities where human enterprise is started working. Today you are seeing many companies trying to provide you space tourism and space adventure, where just to feel the experience of few minutes of zero gravity or microgravity, you are being taken to a few height, and then as the vehicle dives down, free fall, you experience this. Today there are companies which are actually being formed to set up space stations, not only for providing maybe like space tourism, like hotels, so you can experience space for a few days if you generate or if you build for yourself enough capacity to earn. Today it is in the range of maybe $1 million to $250,000. It is not, it's a matter of time before it comes to 25,000 or 2,500 per day. But then there are people who are already working for building space stations in space. Then similarly, the advantage of space station is again in terms of health. Today what people have learned of making things, manufacturing things in space in zero gravity gives enormous advantage in pharma industry. Already some of the companies have brought in whatever knowledge that was acquired in using both in terms of treating astronauts and also for providing them certain health requirements, capsules, etc. Those capsules are being marketed on Earth, and they are earning billions of dollars. So they are now looking at space stations as a hub for manufacturing. So similarly, you also have been hearing about space debris. See, it's natural that initially when people were only moving around, the number of moving objects in a space was little. Today you have, for example, Bangalore itself, if you take traffic problem, if you have to move from one place to another place, has become very critical. So in a space also, things have started happening. Initially, there were few launches and then few satellites in operation. Just if you look at then all the years put together till 1,000 satellites provide you connectivity or location, you need to be connected. So for that, earlier what was being used, geostationary satellite, is not sufficient, because as you can imagine, geostationary satellite, it takes almost hundreds of milliseconds for light to travel there and come back. So this is a finite time. For many activities, people feel this kind of latency is not acceptable. So what is to be done? You bring the satellites down to a lower height. So today satellites being operated at 500 to 1000 kilometers altitude. So because you have brought down from 36,000 kilometers to 500, 600 kilometers, the time it takes for the signal to go and come back becomes very small. Just to make you feel the impact of this, many of you, when you turn on your computer, start feeling by the time it boots and brings up the screen and keyboard for your action, it takes maybe sometimes hundreds of milliseconds, but you already start feeling fidgety. Oh, my system is very slow. To sunlight, radiation pressure, you can use that and make objects thousands of kilometers surface. Receiving sunlight can make it object. Similarly, today plasma and electric propulsion is used. Then tomorrow what is going to be done? Already you would have heard, for example, whether in space itself, whatever material is there, if you can access that and convert that material into these activities, this activity of generating propulsion, thrust, etc., is it possible? So this is where another thought processes are going, and probably you would have all heard that things coming out of nothing. Can something come out of nothing? That's the question which many times you would have been told you cannot get something out of nothing. But then is it true, or is it only a limitation of our understanding? Today, if actually what physics tells us it, what we know about universe is instantaneous capturing those micro or nano or femtosecond activities and then pick up that material, convert it into processes by which you can actually move from place to place. So like this, so space, which is the fourth frontier, has many things. Even for people to live safely on Earth, to have a sustainable living on Earth, while we have been told traditionally in our etc., what they had told us, they actually were in a position to look at not only what is happening around them, but also they were exploring a part of the universe which was very different. I'll just give you a small example and maybe I'll come to the completion of my talk. See, today, when we talk of space exploration or even space habitation, etc., suppose you are asked to design a planet outside. So, what would definitely want to know the place where you want human beings to survive, what kind of environment is there? So, first is you have to learn about all the environment. So, first to study objects and then pick up that information, whatever information you generate, you should be able to communicate to you. So in there and robots moving around, rovers, etc., they pick up information, but they are all communicating what they have picked up to you. But then as you start building such instruments or such robots, you start realizing that if the robot has to ask me a question every time for a small time it takes by putting in the processor a set of programs, and all those programs which are there, if the robot also has to be consciously looking at all actions simultaneously, is there, you go there and pick it up, and then you don't have to contact me. That means you are making it more and more active. But now you look at a situation, you have built all active. But now you look at a situation, you have built all these capabilities. But still, the program is working and trying to fetch this malfunction. Whatever, for example, and trying to fetch this malfunction. Whatever, for example, etc. had done. That is a human being also practice running, generating momentum. That means he is going through a process by which the target, what he had set, he is trying to achieve. Example, I saw the other day one born blind person who is actually today capable of doing a 10 digit by 10 digit multiplication, and he is sitting on the stage. He asks somebody to just stand up and pose him a problem. He hears that, pose him a problem. He hears that, and then he does. The strength, he says, he developed this skill because he had come across the what Shakuntala Devi had done and her achievements. So he, by his efforts, is able to do that. So what I'm trying to tell is every human being has tremendous potential. So what is uncovered? We have memories, property memory. There are 64 kinds of memory. That means which of those enabling us to understand. So in this context, if you probably try to look inwards, maybe there is so much more information. Rishis Muni, only a code. He logs onto the cloud, picks up that information. That means physically they are. Of course, today, abilities communicate without actually being seen, etc. At least you will not dismiss that as a cock and bull story because you are seeing things happening in front of you. So maybe you also have ability to generate signals in some particular wavelengths and then send it. Just to give you this thing, probably you would have heard of this Minukula, that is an insect which can generate light and send. See, today you are seeing LEDs, etc., all created. That means by a chemical combination of things, you can create much of information which is present. So as science and technology is developing, are we only realizing what is present already and trying to understand? This is the challenge, and this is the challenge of education. Education's challenge is to make you aware of your capabilities and your ability to deal with any problem you face. It is immaterial what the problem is. You have the capability to deal with the problem. If you think of approaching that problem, how to solve it, what is required. So today, even in education, engineering and other areas, while a single discipline may not be adequate, that's why the new policies, etc., are giving more and more options for students to do studies across disciplines, whether it's biology, physics, chemistry, communication, computer science, you name it. All things are required. This is where the traditional age-old system, which was trying to tell you that it is not one discipline that is important, everything, the universe, what you see around you, everything is hidden in that. What man has done in terms of science and technology is by looking at for doing it better than what he himself can see. For example, when we look at 4 to 400 to subject, which can make you feel what is happening in terahertz to X-rays. So like this it goes on. So I can keep on talking endlessly, so I will not continue. Just to tell you two things which is important. One is what science and technology is doing is actually showcasing to you your own ability to not only comprehend nature and understand nature, but also to remind you many times what we are doing in the name of development. Actually, we are actually interrupting the natural cycles, and when these natural cycles are interrupted, they produce consequences which are harmful. Today, what you are seeing, whether green revolution or fertilizers are bringing in the effect of residues in our food system, or climate change, or plastics, etc. All of these are examples of human nature of trying to take advantage of developed things, bringing in a pace which is too fast for natural processes to recover. Okay. So let me compliment Karnataka Physics Association for thinking of forming this association and trying to bring a mechanism and process where people across the region, Karnataka region, are actually linked. This is important. Today, while we see a lot of things are available globally, easy access, still there is a need for somebody to interact and tell them, showcase to them what you are getting this data and information, how it can be made sense of. That is where the wisdom comes into picture. That is where the experience of elderly people come into picture. And they also actually need to understand that many times in our own limitations and our own difficulties of comprehending new technology, we all the time try to say this technology is not good, it should not be used. But instead of that, if we try to adopt that and through that communicate to the next generation, maybe we will do a better job. So we need to look at that. So let me compliment Karnataka Physics Association for thinking of forming such an entity and linking people, students and teachers. And also it requires teachers also to be enabled to deal with the current situation. I'm sure they will find ways and means of doing that. So thank you very much, and let me wish each one of you youngsters for the fantastic opportunity that you have today of learning about things and using your knowledge, making not only the country better, but the entire humanity better. Thank you.
The audience can ask one or two questions.
Money content, sir.
Minimum number of questions, if any.
ಇದು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಲೈವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Sir, my name is Kanda. I'm doing my first year MSc in this college, sir. So I want to know if space junk increases, will it cause problem to the satellites in the near future? How to clean the space junk if it goes?
Space collector.
In fact, this is one of the challenges, like I said earlier. Space itself, though today it is very vast, etc. But as more and more things start getting into space, and if those non-functional objects continue to remain there, then they're obviously they are going to make some trouble for others. See, even for example, we have about 50 plus satellites functioning today and operating. What we are doing is, by looking at the catalog of all the objects which are present, they are being tracked and their trajectory is being monitored, and every time we keep doing collision probability analysis, and by doing this collision probability analysis, if any object is within the vicinity of our satellite within 5-kilometer radius, we are changing the trajectory of these satellites temporarily to avoid such. So naturally, what is the way by which we need to tackle this? Like when you are traveling on road also, what do? You look at things around you, and if something is coming in the way, you try to find ways of avoiding that. So same way in space, all the things what is being done on one side is all those objects which are under control, they are being facilities are being built in them. Earlier, for example, when geostationary orbits were very important, graveyard orbits were chosen, where at the end of the functionality of the geostationary satellite, it was being pushed into an higher orbit so that this orbit was clear. But today, in the lower Earth orbit, there are a huge number, and also all these spent stages of rocket, etc., become problem. So gradually, code started that by passivating them, by building these mechanisms such that they are brought to a lower Earth orbit, and then they decay and enter atmosphere. So like that, now the new satellites are also being built in such a way, at the end of their functionality, they will be brought into a lower orbit and then they will decay. But while all this is happening, there is also an opportunity for the entrepreneurs to do what is called scavenging. And not only scavenging, set up space station. Today there is already a company which has set.
One simple question, maybe like to the international community, the planet, they can occupy, or they can just go and grab whatever things are there in space.
See, in the initial period under United Nations, it was agreed that space is a common heritage of humankind. So that means space belongs to everybody. This is a sort of, I can say, principle by which it goes. But then every one of us know naturally what happens. It is might is right, and then that's the kind of thing. So everywhere, though there is an intention, there is a goodwill, there are mechanisms which are being talked about, but can you prevent somebody who builds the skill and capability to do that? What is the mechanism that can be done? That means ahead of somebody else going there and then establishing, you should have a combination. For example, you have an ability to take things. So these are all actual practical reality. And we are talking about trying
For your introductions.
Something like the so-called BFR, that is the key element for this equipment like that. BFR. Done by
See, first thing is, as an individual, no problem. No, basically, what is the person doing in principle? So, sources by certain activities he did. So, using that resource, he is trying to do things which for humanity you have thrown. With that velocity, it keeps moving and it will get into another orbit. So, there, the ability to push it out of the space station is the technology required. Whereas, for example, it's sufficient to push up. So that we are also trying our fourth stage in power and capability, using it as a small platform. If it's any philosophical there. After that only it has been identified to find it where it is, in what quantity it is, because that is, once water is there, you can make liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. Using cryogenic engines, you can use it as a station. You don't have to carry that from Earth, and then you can make it as an intermediate place from where you can go to the next thing, like a stopover station. So it's a natural thing, as long as you are able to find where it is, how far, how much it is, then you can do the necessary things for that. And then economics of doing that is what is preventing somebody from doing such things. Today, the cost of doing a space activity, whether it is mining, etc., is what is really limiting. As the cost of doing becomes less and less, with more and more reusable things, like an aircraft is very cost effective because it can be flown multiple times. Same way Elon Musk has already shown that he can bring back, land it safely, and hundreds of times he can do. So its cost of launch has come down. So this is how things will go.
Thanks for the introduction, sir. We'll move to the next program.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful information. Okay. Now we go with the felicitation and the certification distributed by our university.
Madam, you Ramakrishna, please go for Ramakrishna. Thank you. Now, I just want all the youngsters here to observe the founder members of the association. And you will see that except two here, all are retired professors of physics and other subjects. And this should be a model for the youngsters that they will in future carry on the activities of the association to various parts of the Karnataka. Now I request the chief guest to distribute the certificates to the founder members